Hello friends, I'm Colonel Failure and this is Get Back to Work, a series in which I get back to work on various simulators I've played over the years while talking on a topic that has been suggested by the person that requested I play the simulator in question. You with me? Good. Thought you were. We're in Derail Valley today and I missed the turn last time around. Apparently I've got to go through the central line of that to carry on with the main line. Yeah, you see, that's what I missed. What's L stand for? If I is in and O is out, L is loading. Oh, good shout. And there's some buffers down there, so it's definitely not that one. You've got to go up one more, and then you can ping the whatnot, and we're off and away. Okay, super. Today's request comes courtesy of Alfred, and we're going to be talking board games. Right, that should about do it. I'll just warm my hands up on the old funnel there and we'll slow it on down and get pointing the right way. There you go. Thank you, train. This train's behaving very well so far. I mean, obviously that's a fatal thing to say, but it is. So, there it is. Right. Ping the ding-dong. Ding-dong 2 pinged. We're going straight up the middle. That one is set correctly, and so is that one. Then we shouldn't have a problem. Shouldn't have, but probably will. Okay, let's brakes off. Yeah, are you off as well? Yeah, you're off as well. Give it some wedge and get to work. Let's go. Give it more wedge. Giving it the wedge. Let's go. Thank you. Alright, that's the stuff. I'll just make sure we're going the right way, and then we'll start our thesis for the day. Because I want to read the message back first, you see. I didn't do that last time. I should have always read the message back first, and then everyone's got the context of what it is you're about to rattle on about. I know, it might not sound important, but trust me, it really is. This is a YouTuber pro tip. Let people know what the heck it is you're doing before you start doing it. I mean, they could figure it out. Maybe I should do a series entitled The Viewers Try and Figure Out What's Going On. No, I think you've done a few of those already. You just haven't stuck them in a playlist. Right, okay, we seem to be rolling in the right direction. I assume it is. It might be. You never know. Anyway, Alfred says, I'm more of a board gamer than a video gamer. I enjoy video games vicariously by paying people an ocean away to play them for me. You're welcome. So, board game night, what's your pleasure? You've mentioned them a few times. What do you look for that's the same or different in your analog versus digital entertainment options? It's a good question. And it's a good question because I've stopped playing board games. And I don't mean because my gaming partner in crime has decided to leave me. No. It's more a case of I got over it a while ago. Now stay left. 10-4, good buddy. Yeah, no, I jumped on board games. I mean, I played board games since I was a kid, and then tabletop Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, bruv, I was there. Early doors, Dungeons and Dragons. This current fad for it. No, I get to play my hipster card on this. I knew about Dungeons and Dragons before you people were born. 10. Yeah, absolutely. Here's my Dungeons and Dragons story, right? It's quite short. I'll keep it brief because there's nothing more boring than someone telling someone else about what just happened in their Dungeons and Dragons adventure. Because I'll share this with you now. They don't care. They don't care about the fantasy adventure that you were on. They don't care how heroic you are. And that when you pass that initiative roll, it really changed everything forever. They are beyond caring about any of that kind of business. Your stories are your own. Nobody else gives a monkeys. You're welcome. Take that one and run with it. Anyway, my grandmother had heard. My grandmother was cool. She's no longer with us, but she was cool, and that's fine. She hasn't been with us for quite a while. Yeah, so she picked it up from the toy shop as the hot new thing that was out. And this would have been in about 1982, 1983, yeah, around that kind of time. And she initially offered it to my cousins who were older than me, because it sounded like, you know, you go on your own adventures and you pull stuff together and all of that kind of stuff. And my aunt is what could be described as frighteningly religious. I'm fine with religious people. Religious people are all good with me. Faith is a good thing to have. It keeps you warm at night. However, there is such a thing as frighteningly religious, and my aunt is it. To zealot-based religious going on there, and you just kind of go like, just you're up here, just take it down to about there a bit, and then fundamentally keep it to yourself. Okay, that's the only rule about religion, by the way. Just keep it to yourself. All right, much like your Dungeons and Dragons stories, no one cares. Unless they're of the same persuasion as you. So the parallels here are, if they are part of your D&D group, they might be interested in your D&D it's a parallel. Oh, I've created an inadvertent metaphor. And it's the same that goes for the religious organisation. If they're in your organisation, they sure do want to hear about it. If they're not, they don't care. Alright, the end. There you go, just solved that. You can take that to United Nations. I've fixed one of the world's biggest problems. And the solution is anywho, my grandmother had bought it thinking it'd be a fun thing for her grandkids to have. And my ultra-religious aunt said, not my kids, you don't. But in a nicer way than that. I think it was more like, oh, no. No, the vicar would never approve. And so it ended up in my lap. And I loved it. And I didn't read all of the rules. You go, really? Surely not. You who has always observed everything. I read enough to get a feel for, what's this all about then? Where are you going? Left. You sure? Yeah. Okay. I read enough to get a feel for it, and then filled in the blanks myself. I'm pretty sure, even though I've probably played a few thousand hours of D&D, that I've still never read the full thing. And do you know why? Because you don't need to. I fell in love with a role-playing game. I'll get onto board games in a minute. Fell in love with a role-playing game called Paranoia, and I absolutely flaming love Paranoia. Now, the first edition of Paranoia is the second best. The first edition is the second best. The one that was published in the mid to late 80s. An awful lot of good stuff happened in the mid to late 80s, because it had two things that I've always taken with me, and the first of which is never let the rules get in the way of a good game. And I went, you're talking to me. I know this already. Never let the rules get in the way of a good game. And the second one was a comic panel of the troubleshooters in Paranoia, which is the characters that people play. And you've got... they're pulling away in a futuristic helicopter. One of them's dangling off the edge of it by one arm, firing a laser at a dinosaur. Right? And the caption underneath reads, if they put on a good show, let them live. And I've always embraced that mentality with role-playing games. Is don't let the dice get in the way of the fun. Now, the dice can be a fantastic tool for generating fun when something goes right, something goes wrong, can be hilarious. But fundamentally, let the story tell itself. And the last thing is, if you are GMing or DMing a role-playing game of any kind, the game ceases to be yours the second you allow players anywhere near it, at which point it's their game and it's your job to make it fun for them. Okay? It's your job. That's your responsibility. And you are either cut out for the job of GM because you want to make things fun, or you're not. Sorry, I've got a little cut on my nose, and I'm just checking that it's not, going like Colonel Failure, plus a bit of blood coming out of his nose. How did I do it? I don't know. I must have done it in my sleep again. I'm forever stabbing myself in my sleep. Let's talk board games. Back to the 1980s again. I loved Monopoly. Absolutely loved Monopoly. And no one ever wanted to play me. It wasn't because I was particularly great at it, although I did win a lot. It's just that I would get... people would rage quit on me like you would not believe, because I was relentless in negotiation, and still am. When I play Monopoly, I negotiate hard. I go in very aggressively negotiating for every deal that I want to make, and I worked out a long time ago that I could basically get whatever deal I wanted if I just kept talking, because eventually they'd give up and they'd just go, fine, shut up. Well, that's not helped me develop as a human at all, but boy did I love Monopoly. And I rarely got to play it. I used to play Stratego. That was a lot of fun. A game called Dover Patrol, which is Stratego. I might have only been 10 or 11, but I worked out that Dover Patrol was Stratego, but instead of it being Napoleonic stuff, instead it was about flying boats and submarines and stuff like that, set in World War II. Exactly the same game, but instead of the little plastic dudes that you had, you got little cardboard whatnots. And there was one about building a spaceship that I really liked as well. These were all at my grandmother's house, apart from Monopoly, which I have my own copy of. So, board games. Always loved board games, and it was always about finding the right people to play with. And I didn't have the luxury of choice there. It was, regrettably for them, my younger brother and younger sister were the only people who were near enough, often enough, to represent any kind of a gaming group. And, you know, as the oldest sibling... Oh, and I used to cheat! I used to cheat so horribly. I never really won anything, but I'd cheat as well. So not only was I an arsehole to play against in Monopoly, but I'd cheat as well. I'd always go, I'll be banker, it'll make it quicker. What a scumbag. Oh dear. Yeah. No, I stopped cheating at games once I learned to enjoy losing, which is tricky actually. Learning to enjoy losing is really tricky, and the secret weapon there is, if you put on a good show, win or lose, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. If you've put on a good show and you've amused yourself in the process, the victory, while it's always quite nice to win. Also, having kids teaches you to get over winning, because you kind of go like, if I win this game, they will cry. I don't want that, therefore I will lose this game, and I will make it look like they've won. Right? Okay. Get into the mindset. But no, online gaming taught me that actually I wasn't as awesome a gamer as I maybe thought I was, and therefore I embraced losing, because it's fine. Someone's got to lose, and if you can't do it with good grace, don't play the game in the first place. So getting around to where I started this narrative, which is the 21st century board game renaissance, friends. Oh yeah, it started in probably 2002, 2003, where you got a new wave of games started coming out, and then Kickstarter came out as well. And all of a sudden, we were off to the races. There were new board games all over the place. So the likes of Fantasy Flight got established, and that really started to expedite the games that were being played and the number of games that were being played. And then you had stuff like the Battlestar Galactica board game that had come out, which showed that a licensed product could be great. And Battlestar Galactica, when it first came out, was that was a game changer. That was a very big thing. But you were talking at the time, the games you were really talking about, what would have been the kind of the get stuff started, get the ball rolling. Obviously you got Pandemic. I'll talk about Pandemic in a moment, because Pandemic sucks. And Dominion, the deck builder, Dominion, which is superb, absolutely superb. Dominion is fantastic, and it is one of the two games I recommend to anybody as a gateway game for members of friends and family who have never played a newfangled modern board game type experience, even as a card game. It's what I call gateway games, in that you are getting the flavour of a full-blooded modern game, but you understand the rules within moments. Within no time at all, you get the rules. And that makes a huge difference, and especially with Dominion, because it doesn't make any sense to start with. I taught herself how to play Dominion, and then we immediately played like 15 games back to back. And the first time she was playing it, goes, it doesn't make any sense. I've got no cards left now. I go, yeah. You shuffle them up, and they turn back into that. You draw them again, and you put some more stuff, and your deck just gets bit. Oh, it's amazing! It's so good, and it is. It's really, 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 really good. If you don't have Dominion, go get it. The expansions, if you like, but only if you get super into it. The expansions are good, but don't get carried away unless you feel like it. You're welcome. What was the other one? What was the other early doors game? You know, I don't remember, and therefore it probably didn't make the cut. Right, we're turning left again. Are you sure? Yeah. Okay. All right, hang on. Sorry, multitasking. I'm getting better at it. See, I'm getting some practice in now. Right, so now let's do the gateway games and get them out of the way. Right, gateway games. Gateway games, the means of introducing people who've only ever played Monopoly or Cluedo or Scrabble or stuff like that. You know, the big behemoth, Leviathan, arcane, ancient games that you have to know, right? That you're not allowed to not know. Cluedo, that's what we call it in the UK. It's called Clue in America, because Cluedo isn't a word. I mean, I imagine that's the reason. Yeah, so the two games are Dominion, which I've just spoken about at length, and then the other one is King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo is fabulous. You all play giant Japanese monster movie style critters, and you're smashing up each other in Tokyo. That's about it. It's dice. The board doesn't really factor into it, but it's there anyway. It is a fantastic introductory game for people who are inexperienced at such things. Are we nearly there? Yeah, you've gone the wrong way here, son. Why did you say left? You meant right. You're not wrong. I did. Alright, should we back it up? How much further is it to go the other way? Quite a bit. Okay, if it was only a little bit, I wouldn't have bothered. Alright, ease that off. And then tickle it with a bit of this. There we go. That's a nice view, isn't it? Isn't it a nice view? Yeah, it is a nice view. It'd be a nicer view if we were going the right way. Yeah, but we're going... I mean, I could push them there. Is that any faster? Hang on. No. Well, it means you don't have to turn round. It's a bad idea. Well, let's not do it then. How's the fuel? Fine, half a tank. Hey, it's actually going well. Yeah, I know, I'm as surprised as you are. Let me just go and change the points. So yeah, King of Tokyo is fab. Kids will get it straight away. It's a very easy game. Obviously, the nuances of strategy, you need to kind of think about the nuances of strategy. We're all set here. Don't jump off the edge. That was close. But even then, even if you've got no nuanced strategy whatsoever, King of Tokyo is a lot of fun. Dominion is less fun initially, but even then kids will get hang of it pretty quickly. I recommend for kids as well, probably slightly got older kids like 7, 8, 9 onwards, Cash and Guns, which is Top Weasel. You're a bunch of criminals and you're doing a bunch of crimes. But the hook is it comes with a bunch of little foam pistols that you point at each other in the showdown moments, which is great because it's got comedy vendetta written all over it, which is fabulous. Right, I'm going to talk about Pandemic. I'm going to limit myself here. We're going to talk Pandemic, we're going to talk Battlestar Galactica, we're then going to talk about 2 other games. Alright, here we go. Pandemic is a bad game. Right. It's a good game. It seems to be a good game when you first play it. You're going to go, oh, that was great. Oh, I really enjoyed that. Oh, yeah, super. Let's go again. The problem with it is it's a collaborative game. You are playing together. You are playing as a team. And therefore, it's really a one-person game. And that one person is the person who does all the shouting in the room. The loudest person at the table is the one running the game. And therefore, it's a bad game. Reason number 1. The second reason it's a bad game, it's about stopping the outbreak of multiple diseases around the planet. And this is an early 2000s game. You'll enjoy it the first couple of times you play it, but after you've played it a few times, you just kind of go, "Bleh, I'm over it. I'm totally over it." The second reason it's a bad game, and this is a spoiler if you've never played it before, because I'm going to ruin it for you, is you're playing against the deck. There are moments, those special cards in the deck that when you draw them, they cause a big problem outbreak. And if those cards come up too close together or too quickly, you're going to lose. If they are spaced out further, you're going to win. The end. That's it. And therefore, the skill of the situation is largely irrelevant. The cooperative nature of what you're doing is largely irrelevant, and therefore the whole thing's a sham. But you'll enjoy it the first few times you play it. Let's talk about Battlestar Galactica. Now, Battlestar Galactica is great. The first time you start playing it, no, hold on, is lousy. The first time you play it, though, you'll have a great time after you understand what the hell is going on with the rules. Because Battlestar Galactica falls into the category of games where the designer has gone, you know, I think we need some more tokens. You know, I think if we add just another group of tokens here, it would increase the fun, but only if we add another 15 bunches of tokens as well, alongside all the tokens that we've already got. And then a couple more of those cards with wheels on, and some more tokens. And don't forget to add some tokens as well. Holy mackerel. It's not too bad in Battlestar Galactica, I emphasise to make a point. It is far, 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 far worse in any of the Call of Cthulhu games. Arkham Horror. Arkham Horror is a mission to set up, even when you know what's going on. And Battlestar Galactica is also a mission to set up, even when you go on. And then when you've got it all set up, you just kind of go, oh God, I remember this. Oh no. Yeah. The hook to Battlestar Galactica is that one or more of you, of the human players, are Cylons and are trying to disrupt things. Nice piece of mechanic that they've done in there is the when everybody is when Cylons are betraying the rest of the crowd. The stealthy filthing is very nicely done. Can't fault it for that in the slightest. It's very well done, and as such, props. Well done. The problem with Battlestar Galactica is it takes a minimum of 3 hours to play, and that's the point at which you kind of go, I'm bored, I can't be bothered with this anymore. And then an awful lot of the time, the Cylons are going to win simply by the weight of ships turning up, blowing you to pieces. Yeah, it's fun the first few times, and then after a while you just kind of go, no, I can't face it. I can't play it again. I just can't. So that's Battlestar Galactica. I'm now going to talk about Cosmic Encounter. Now, Cosmic Encounter is unusual. Cosmic Encounter is unusual because, unlike the other games in the Board Games Renaissance, it was made way earlier. I believe it was the early 70s when Cosmic Encounter was designed. That's the 1970s. Oh yeah, not some other 70s you might be familiar with. And the reason it has persisted, I should say, is because it's fantastic. It is, and not necessarily fantastic in the sense of, oh, what a great game, and it is a great game. It's fantastic in the sense of, nobody has a bad, unenjoyable game. And the reason for that is you spend quite a lot of you'll spend every turn attacking other players, but you don't decide who you attack. The game decides for you. So it's never personal. There is never any personal aspect to who you attack. But there is still the opportunity for the filthing, which is essential to a board game. You've got to be able to filth other people. Moreover, you've got to have some element of discussion as part of the game as well. If you're not discussing anything with the other players, then you might as well be sat in silence playing it. It's just not interesting. But it comes with like 100 different alien species. You all draw one at random, and therefore the interaction between the alien species that you're playing with creates a very dynamic game experience that is fun every time you play it. Doesn't need that many counters, a bonus, and it's not too long, 45 minutes to an hour, and it's relatively easy to pick up. These are the signs of a good game. Relatively easy to pick up, doesn't take too long, doesn't take a month to set up, fairly easy to teach people the rules, and there's no vendettas that come out of the other side of it. Yeah, that's good. So I want to talk about that, and what else was I going to... I was going to mention one more. Was I? Maybe. I don't know. I think one of my favourite board game experiences was... would be 6-7 years ago. Myself and I were living out in the country. Our collective kids were living over the other side of the country. And so every weekend we would set off independently in 2 cars to go get all the kids and bring them back to the house for the weekend. It was a total mission. The kids were absolute troopers for putting up with multi-hour commutes every weekend. And but those weekends were worth it. We played games the entire time. Anyway, throughout the course of 1 year, the triplets, along with herself and I, we played Risk Legacy. Risk Legacy. Now, Risk you're probably familiar with. The legacy aspect is that the game evolves over time, and so you're destroying cards, you're drawing on the board, you're changing stuff up, you're evolving. You're no longer all exactly kind of identikit armies. The different armies have different characteristics and perks and what have you, and they're dictated based on previous games' performance. And it's designed to be played over a 15-game series, at which point the grand champion is declared. We played the first game on New Year's Eve, played the last game on New Year's Eve. So over the course of 50 weeks, we got through the 15 games, and it went to the 15th game to decide the champ. It was me. Legitimately, I don't cheat anymore. I have no need to do so. I'm quite happy. I was the last one to win a game as well, because and it's not because I was going easy. When my daughter discovered that she could turtle for a good 45-50 minutes of the game, build up an incredibly huge army while her brothers were fighting over who got Australia, and then suddenly emerge out and absolutely blat everybody. That was it. We're going too fast for this corner. No, we're not. We're okay. We're okay. We're a little bit over, but not so much as it will worry me. Yeah, that was a sight to behold. There you go. So yeah, that was just tremendous. Which brings me to my closing point on the subject of board games. It's who you play with that matters. The game itself, it really doesn't matter that much, as long as you all get on with it. One game recommendation. This is the one I was going to talk about. Captain Sonar. Right? Yeah. You play it's battleships for the 21st century, right? You play as 2 teams of 4, up to 4, 2 to 4. But you play as 2 teams, and you are going to need to slow down here. And the hook is that both teams have got kind of a navigator, radio operator in front of them, who has a sheet of acetate that sits over the top of the board game map, and the way you move around is the captain says, right, I want to go east, and the engineer will go, right, we're going east, and you'll move your ship on your board east by 1. The radio operator, on the other hand, has got the acetate and a pen to track your movements, right? And instead of just torpedoes, you've got missiles, you've got drones, you've got all kinds of stuff to try and blow up the opposition, but they're trying to figure out where you are based on these audible commands that they're hearing the entire time. It's superb. What a great question. I've more than covered it. I'm stopping here. No. Because I know full well there's at least half an hour worth of faffing around in this yard to figure out where this train's going. I've been Colonel Failure. If you'd like a video on name your topic while I play some random work-based game, get stuck in to get back to work and head to wizio.com/Colonel. I'm going to turn the train off, save some petrol. wizio.com/Colonel_Failure. And get stuck in. Why is the train moving? Put the brakes on a bit more. There you go. Pack it in. Good. I'll catch up with you next time. Thanks very much for watching, and thanks very much for the request there, Alfred. Cheerio.